If someone inspires you, you can do absolutely anything. Inspiration is about digging into your soul, feeling something, seeing something out there, and it resonating with you to the point where you put in an effort, you go the extra mile, you do something that you wouldn't otherwise do because of how you feel, because of how you've been touched by someone's speech, by what you've seen on TV, by how someone's come across to you. It makes you want to do something you otherwise wouldn't do. I get stopped very positively on the street all the time by young people and old people. They say, bless up, Henry, it's great what you're doing. But sometimes they say, we need more people like you. And I say, no, we need more people like you. Why does it always have to be a famous person or a celebrity? Each one can teach one.
Come on. After that highlights reel, you can do better than that. Come on, please. Show me some. I was thinking, how am I going to follow that guy? I'll do my best. Good morning, everybody. I'm Henry Nana Kwame Osei Bonsu, otherwise known. You see? I did some Afrocentricity in the room, so I have to give you the full. Henry Nana Kwame Osei Bonsu. Yeah, that's how in Ghana you don't say Bonsu, you say Bonsu. Radio and TV broadcaster, delighted to be your moderator today. I would like to welcome you all to the inaugural, because there will be more, UK Black Entrepreneur Conference. It builds on the findings of the Black Entrepreneurs Report 2021, written by Dr. Carlton Brown, sitting here in the front. Give him a round of applause. He organised this conference with his team at Aspire, and it gives a contemporary insight into the black business experience here in the UK. Hello, glad to see you too. So we have several aims today. We want to do a number of things. We want to, and at the risk of sounding Boris Johnson boosterish, we want to turbocharge the dialogue between different parts of our business community, including the policymakers, financial institutions, the public and private sectors, the third sector, importantly as well. We're talking about fresh, and I say fresh because I've had some of these conversations before, meaningful conversations that will deliver results. We also intend to look at the 3 E's: to empower, to engage, and educate our entrepreneurs with the tools they need to achieve greater success. We're going to share insights as well, real insights from the latest research. Network with other professionals, and I believe there's around 300 of you here today, so it's great to see so many of you. Some of you I've known for a number of years. We want you to connect with buyers. There are buyers here as well in the public and private sector, and learn how best practices can be applied in your business. And today I'm delighted to say we have an outstanding lineup of speakers whom you'll hear in keynote addresses, fireside chats, well, no fire, but, you know, down here. We will have innovative breakout sessions as well. And those speakers include Eric Collins, the star of Channel 4's The Moneymaker series, Wilfred Emmanuel Jones, a former parliamentary candidate and founder of the Black Farmer range of products, a thought leader and enterprise coach, Yvonne Witter, and the author and leadership coach, Michelle Moore, and of course, Dr. Carlton Brown himself. We'll start the day with 2 keynote presentations that will set the scene for our deliberations. Coming up shortly, Dr. Brown will give us the key findings of his seminal report. But first, to frame the day, I'm delighted to introduce the indomitable Lord Michael Hastings, who will stay in a sedentary position, as they say in the other house, in the House of Lords. Stay there for a moment or two, because we want to give you the full introduction. Let's have a bit of music. Music maestro, please, because this man has got quite a CV. I first became aware of Lord Hastings in 1990 when he was on TV. This is your life. TV-AM, and then on GMTV as a political correspondent. Then he moved to the BBC as a presenter on BBC Two's Around Westminster. He then became the BBC's head of public affairs. I'm going to race through because he's done so much. And then he sat on the BT board for responsible and sustainable business till 2016. He now serves on several boards, so he no longer has to take a fee. No, I'm joking. University of Edinburgh's Business School Climate Change Initiative. He was conferred with a life peerage in 2005, sits an independent peer in the House of Lords. He's got loads of doctorates, civil law from the University of Kent. He's a thought leader, Chancellor of Regent's University London, and Professor of Leadership at the Stephen R. Covey Institute, Huntsman Business School, University of Utah, that's in the Badlands, in Middle America, and in July this year became the Chair of Trustees at SOAS, University of London. Before you meet him in the flesh, Let's have a look at him in action. Lord Hastings, please, Maestro, run VT.
Most of you are here today because you're probably thinking about how do you make and create big, strong, successful businesses? How do you become the engines of the future? How do you maybe possibly become the man who or woman who makes Uber or Airbnb or whatever it happens to be, the next founder of Microsoft 2020? That could be your dream. But if that's the limits of your dream, what kind of world will you have created? It's far too easy to have ignorance trump intelligence when you're driven by self-deceit and just pure promotion. So yes, aim to be extremely successful. Learn the best tools and techniques in the course of the day. Have your heart focused on these objectives.
Conference, I give you Lord Michael Hastings, Dr. Hastings of Scarisbrick.
Well, very good morning to all of you. This must be probably the most enthusiastic room in the whole of the United Kingdom today, other than that of Rishi Sunak. So, and that's talking about people who really believe in potential. Well, it's great to be with you this morning. Really good to be with you. And as I wandered around outside and just took in the buzz that all of you were expressing one to the other, it was a true delight. So I know why you've come here today. You've come here today because you want to get rich, and you don't come to a business entrepreneurs conference to walk away destitute. So you've come here because you want to get rich. And so I'm going to introduce you, if I may, to Charlie de Camillo, who on the 15th of January last year was announced as a 17-year-old who just bagged $17.5 million as her top-out earnings. She managed to do this as a teenager after rising to fame on TikTok. And she did so just by dancing in her bedroom in 2019. So if you came here to get investment for a business, forget it. Find a hotel room with a big window. And get dancing. Make sure you open the curtains, that will help. By the way, thank you so much, Henry, dear friend. One thing he didn't say, and this is just my little promotion, if I may. So I'm also the chairman of the Black Business Association of the London Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which when you go out of that door, immediately on the right is our stand. We started as a result of the discomforting slaughter of George Floyd as how to find a way to bring black businesses together with mainstream majority businesses, if you see what I mean. And the London Chamber of Commerce, which is the largest chamber of commerce in Europe, came to us and said, let's create a Black Business Association. So we started that in October 2020. We now have 1,000 black business members and have partnered up with Fiserv, which is a wonderful payments company from the United States, which has a UK operation, and have given away over $2 million to black businesses in the last 2 years. So please join us and get the benefits and advantages of collaboration. So you can be, as I said, just like that great TikTok entrepreneur, if that's the way you see it, or you can do what Lao Tzu says, who is one of Asia's most esteemed business leaders, do the difficult things while they're easy, and do the great things while they're small. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Now, we've just come through a pandemic, sort of, and when we think about the impact of global crisis upon us and upon our world, it's easy just to hide, stay inside, and hope it goes away. Well, on the 5th of April, 1815, I realized that apart from my friend Carlton, who was around then, and myself, that most... That's why you're bald. But on the 5th of April, 1815, a great volcano burst into life, Mount Tambora, in Indonesia. In fact, it has been the largest ever recorded volcano in known history, much greater than any of the volcanoes in the 80s or 90s that we have records of, even going back to Vesuvius. Mount Tambora sent 175 cubic kilometers of volcanic debris into the atmosphere, enough to fill 100,000 sports stadiums and to bury London as a whole in 15 meters of ash. The ash in 1815 was so severe, it caused a year, as they said, without a summer. It blocked out sunlight and caused dramatic change to the weather in every part of the globe. Snow fell in parts of America and Europe in July, and ominous rain clouds lingered over Europe in the unusually clear, warm summer months. According to a geologist, the darkest occasioned in the daylight by the ashes was so profound that nothing equal to it has ever been witnessed in history in the darkest of all nights. It was, as they said, unlike any summer known before. It became known in 1816 as the year without a summer. Now, how is this relevant? It's relevant because the impact of this volcano was so severe that, of course, all over Europe, crops began to fail. As they failed, people couldn't farm the crops, and famine began to set in. Prices soared. If you think it's bad now, just go back to the inflation rate then. And 70,000 people, a huge number at the time in the 1800s, died in Germany just as a direct result from the eruption. People couldn't afford to feed themselves or their horses, because horses was the only means of travel. And then a German entrepreneur stepped into the breach. Baron Karl von Drais entered the scene of disaster, a resident of southwest Germany, who had been ravaged by the awful weather and the floods caused by the eruption. Drais was inspired to design a human-powered vehicle that wouldn't rely on horses or any other livestock. He experimented with a number of machines and created what was first called the Laufmaschine, or as we now know it today, the bicycle. The bicycle, of course, which has become infamous in every corner of the world and massively profitable, began as a consequence of a disaster. You either fed your horse or you fed your children. What is the lesson of the Tambora earthquake? Entrepreneurs have to be people who wait for the moment. But when the moment comes, which may look like a disaster, they take the application of mind skills to find a way through, not the pressure point of the pain of the experience to demand that others meet their obligations. There was a wonderful discovery just this last week announced. In fact, it was announced on Monday evening. It was announced at a hotel in Leicester Square. It was a fruit machine by 3 entrepreneurs, UK entrepreneurs, who determined that instead of squeezing orange, it would become the world's first compact home dialysis machine for those with kidney disorders. The Princess Royal presented the award at the Royal Academy of Engineering on Monday evening. The Quantum Dialysis Technologies machine won the McRoberts Award on Monday night, pivoting from being a fruit juice machine to a kidney dialysis machine, saving the National Health Service millions and millions of pounds a year, because those needing dialysis can now do it at home. Don't have to queue up at hospitals, and the cost of the machine is something equivalent to 2 fruit juices. That's incredible, isn't it? That is what entrepreneurs can do. Find solutions to things everybody else says is impossible. So I have a challenge in particular for the ladies right now. Another creature was discovered in the last week. This creature is called the Demodex follicularum. I'm sure you've come across it, because if you haven't been looking tightly enough. The Demodex follicularum is 0.03 millimeters long, and it lives in your eyelashes. It has 12 legs, and on its 12 legs, it has a further 3 pincers. Its purpose, let me read exactly from the science announcement. They were found that the gene which normally regulates waking and sleeping has been lost. Instead, the organism detects changes in the levels of the hormone melatonin in our skin secretions. It gets up when we go to sleep. Telling the Demodex to get up goes down when we wake up. They're cued to head back down into the oily pores of our skin and wait for their dinner. What was fascinating about the headline, of course, is that they mate on your face. So here, I mean, I'm just giving you the news. I mean, I'm just making sure you know about stuff. You know what I mean? So, and there you go. That is what it looks like, ladies. So if you're into extended eyelashes, then you got more of them on than anybody else. And I know that this is a particular challenge for black women. So here you are. Here's an opportunity to create a means to make faces feel cleaner. But if you do, this thing lives off the residue in your lashes. You're going to need it. But I give you this example, one, because it's very funny and it's actually true. But secondly, because every potential moment that creates a challenge is an opportunity for an entrepreneur to step forward. I believe 100% in the potency of entrepreneurs, but I also believe in the necessity to study yourself sufficiently that you will swallow on the need to fail and therefore wait until you can grow like a koi. The Japanese carp, which is called the koi, it's a fascinating fish. If you keep it in a small fish bowl, it grows up to 3 inches long. Take the koi out and place it in a large tank, and the koi will grow up to 6 inches. Put the same koi into a pond, it will grow up to 18 inches, and then place the koi into a lake where it can stretch, and it has the potential to reach 36 inches long. In other words, it always had the potential to be 36 inches long, but it was restricted by its environment. So what is it that restricts us from our ability to either receive or to endow the resources necessary to get our businesses into place? I want to give you a thought, which is not the whole answer, because I know Carlton and the rest of the day will take you down many more financial routes than I would seek to do. But I just make a suggestion, and I'm going to read you the story of probably America's greatest president who ever lived, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809. In 1816, at the age of 7, he was forced to work because his family had been expelled from the farm where they lived. In 1818, he lost his mother. In 1828, he lost his sister. In 1831, he opened his first business and he went bankrupt. In 1832, he stood in the legislative elections and he lost. In 1833, he borrowed money to open another business and he went bankrupt again. In 1835, he met a wonderful woman who he determined to marry. He fell in love with her, they got engaged, and she died before they could marry. In 1836, he entered a very dark period of his life, a deep depression, he records in his memoirs. He remained bedridden for 6 consecutive months. But then eventually he got up. He got up, and in that same year of 1836, he ran in the legislative elections for his state, and he lost again. In 1840, he presented himself to the electorate, and he lost again. In 1842, he met another woman that he would end his life with, and they fell in love, got engaged, got married. She gave birth to 4 children, and 3 of them died at birth. In 1843, he appeared before the Congress for a seat, and he lost it. In 1845, he appeared again before Congress, and he lost. In 1850, his one remaining child, his son, died. In 1854, he ran for the Senate, and he lost. In 1856, he ran for vice president. He didn't even get 100 votes. And in 1858, he ran again for the Senate, lost again. At 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected President of the United States of America. He was elected for 2 exceptional terms, but he was assassinated at the beginning of his 2nd term. Probably America's most respected and impactful president, he ran the campaign and achieved the abolition of slavery for black people in America. what a lot you have to do to make a start. What a lot you have to do. And what sits in front of most of us is the question, are we willing to do any of it? I receive endless demands. I'm patron of Cornerstone Partners and the Cornerstone Venture Capital Fund, chairman of the Black Business Association and the Black Business Initiative. We are in constant demand for money, but very rarely in demand for character. What is necessary for entrepreneurs to live the journey of effective production is not just to have ideas, but to have caliber, to know what it means to go without, to constantly let go of your prospects, to release what you think is the right of possession as a business leader, and to set yourself and others free with the intention that you will continue whether you gain it or you don't. I have the joy of supporting a large group of young black men who, all of whom want to make it. Some do, some have. There are a few in this room right now. They know what I'm going to say. What I teach them, we have a series of events we call The Game. It's called The Game because it's intended to help them to understand that if you want to be a successful, meaningful, significant black footballer, you play the same game by the same rules as any white person on the field. If you want to be a significant black tennis player, and we know a few who are wonderful, you play the same game in the same way by the same rules as anybody else. There are no different rules given by color or culture. So we need to learn how to engage in the collaboration that is required to become effective in the long journey of business success. And therefore, what are the skills we've got to have to achieve that outcome? So a few years ago, I'm a non-exec director at a search firm called Saxton Bamfylde, and one of our competitors produced a wonderful booklet that sets out Heidrick and Struggles, this is, the skills that are necessary for the chief executives and chairs that they recruit. And these are the qualities on assessing many thousands of chief executives and business leaders they say are most necessary. So let me give them to you, and you have to think about whether or not you have these qualities. Quality number one, a thriving mindset, a clear sense of purpose, deep commitment to learning, a strong sense of optimism. Now, what you often hear in Black Business Corners is a ton of optimism, but what you don't necessarily hear is the sense of purpose or the determination to learn. Secondly, a combination of social, self, and situational awareness. In other words, where do we sit in the macro reality of where either resources or opportunity are? That is why I'm so glad that we created the London Chamber of Commerce and Industry's Black Business Association, but didn't create the Black Business Association for everybody with a Hackney or a Southwark postcode. And we did so because we could integrate with the mainstream of majority businesses who are providing the resources, technology, opportunity, linkages, and potential to get black businesses through the gate and on to the next level. So you have to have strong social and situational awareness. Number three, essential leadership values, such as ethical integrity, ability to collaborate, openness to change. These are the characteristics which will determine our next step. So weigh yourself. Do they fit? Do they fit within? Do you fit? Do you want to fit? Well, if there's one person who inspired me relentlessly, non-stop, all my childhood life, it was Rudyard Kipling. I don't know how many of you are poetry lovers, but my dear beloved father, who died when I was 16, by the way, so many people ask me, what's your heritage? You're nodding because you want to know, don't you? What's your heritage? As in, where you come from, then I come. put you in a box and determine whether you're African, is it Caribbean, is it useless, is it whatever. What are your heritage? Well, my father was born in Angola, in Luanda. His parents were Indian from Calcutta. My mother was born in Savlamar in Jamaica. Her father was from Panama and her mother from Ghana. So work it out. But my dear father, who died in a car crash, which is entirely his own fault because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt. My dear father, well, it's true. He went through the windscreen and it was his own fault. But I loved him dearly. But my dear father died when I was 16. And what he did for my brother and I was to insist every weekend that he read us the same poem. So for every single Sunday, for 16 years, in fact for 14 years, because I was sent to boarding school at 14, but for 14 years, my father always insisted he read us the same poem. And it's never left me, and it now stands proudly in a huge piece in the dining room wall. And here it is, because I feel that these are essential for those of us who want to run and lead and engage and thrive in business, let alone in life and in everything. Here you go. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when everybody doubts you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to absolutely broken and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one more trial and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there's nothing left in you except the will which says, hold on. If you can talk with crowds, keep your virtue, walk with kings, but don't lose the common touch. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if everybody counts with you, but none too much, if you could fill the absolutely unforgiving minute that faces you with 60 seconds worth of distance value run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. What is more, you'll be proud you've achieved, my son. In my first ever job, paid job, I was a toilet cleaner. I'm always proud to say that because I like people to know that it's good to start literally in the gutter. And sometimes you get to stand up away from it. And then my second job was to be a school teacher. And when I began as a school teacher all those many years ago in 1981, a dear friend gave me this book, How to Be a Complete and Utter Failure in Life, Business, and Everything. And they said, you'll need this because these are 39.5 steps to lasting underachievement, and that's you. Well, great, thank you. So I decided to swallow every single one of the pages of this book. And it contains some great gems, one of which from Henry Ford is, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. But the other one, and with this I will wrap up as we're right near our edge of time. Step 39.5, right at the end. A quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Enthusiasm is the most powerful engine of success. If, when you want to do a thing, do it with all your might. Put your whole soul into it. Stamp it with all your personality. Be active, be energetic, be enthusiastic, Be faithful, and then you'll accomplish your objectives. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So, as the rest of the day moves on, and you go back to the TikTok artist and think, I could get that window. Then what I hope you will do is think less about how you get the money and think more about who you'll be to survive the journey. Just remember Abraham Lincoln. Big things happen when you give up everything. Thank you.